NBS Studios presents Splash and Dash. Short stories meant to entertain and amuse. Splash and Dash is sponsored by Roughneck Soap. Guys, are you tired of soap that doesn't work as hard as you do? Try an all-natural soap that will wash away all the gunk and grime of your day and leave you feeling fresh and clean. Go to roughnecksoap.com and get yours today. Roughneck Soap, made for men, approved by women. Splash and Dash's feature presentation is Woman with Stars in Her Eyes or We Have All of Time for Love, written by D.W. Black, narrated by NBS Studios. A small cafe in 2081, Delia Moreland walked through the bustling plaza like a woman who knew exactly where she came from, when she came from, and where she wanted to go. The world around her shimmered with peaceful flora, clean solar glass, and lights and signs that danced through the city. Neon koi flickered through an artificial canal. No one seemed to question her vintage boots, shawl, or sun hat, despite the cool atmosphere. It is 2081 after all. Strange sights are part of the norm. She pushed open the creaking glass door of a little cafe that had no digital menus and real, honest-to-God paper napkins. An attendant took orders from another table. At a corner table, a man wrote in a leather-bound journal, scribbling symbols from a language some archaeologists might recognize, although they'd completely mispronounce it. Delia leaned over his shoulder and read the line aloud, low and close to his ear, her voice steady but close to a whisper. Solomon smiled, his pen pausing. It's pronounced with the tongue curled and then a click. Like this. He pointed to a word and demonstrated. She smiled back, kissed his cheek, and slid into the chair across from him. I'll never forget the first time I saw you before you were such a stickler. Delia jests, squinching her nose at him. That was a very, very long time ago. Solomon smiles fondly at the memory. The sun rises in West Africa circa 421 BCE. The city buzzed with the life of a civilization history books would ignore, tucked between red cliffs and fertile riverbanks. Sun-baked stone apartments cast long shadows on cobbled markets, and breezes carried scents of spiced dates, cured fish, and heated iron. At the shipyard, a young man who had seen 16 summers stood barefoot, with the sun glistening from his skin in radiant hues, hammering something incomprehensibly advanced onto a hull of golden timber. Technology Delia would never see again after this visit. She watched him work, pretending to blend in, her tunic and wrap carefully researched for the era. He pretended to work without noticing her. You have the stars dancing in your eyes, he said when he caught her gaze. She smiled, caught off guard. You're the first person to ever tell me that. Very observant. And your words sound strange, he noted, brow furrowing. I'm not from around here, she said, brushing a non-existent speck off her sleeve. I came to see you. He laughed. I'm just like everyone else here. She shook her head, stepping away and around a corner. You'll learn in time. You cannot walk there, blurted, chasing after her. Then Solomon stopped short. The lady was nowhere to be seen. The moon waxes over her western coast of the Italian peninsula in Rome. A warm breeze carries roasted almonds, wine, and laughter into the open-air theater. Cushions were tossed on steps, people leaned against columns, and actors on stage bumbled through a farce involving a chicken, a senator, and a wig. Delia dropped down beside Solomon mid-play. He grinned and threw an arm around her shoulders. What's your name now? Solomon, he announced, and several drunken theater-goers said his name as well. She nodded. I think it suits you. Do you want to stay for the rest? We can, but we'll have to leave before the end. I can handle a dramatic exit, she said. Your pronunciation's getting better, he answered. She smiled, lifting a gourd of wine to her mouth. They laughed, quietly reminiscing over other times and other places. She accidentally brought up his wife. How lovely she was. He smiles and insists he's had plenty of time to move on. Delia relaxes and explains it helps her keep things straight. He asks if it was because she was a child of the stars. She said she'd explain that part much later. As the actors reached a crescendo involving falling grapes and a disguised emperor, Solomon grabbed her hand and whispered, "Now!" They ran through the stone streets, laughing as sandals slapped against the ground. "Staying long this time?" he asked once they slowed, panting. "Yes," she said, stopping. "This is one of my favorite times." "Why?" "Because you've become quite the man and I get to live with you." He touches her cheek. A full moon glows over Hong Kong. The city pulses with color, red banners, yellow lanterns, and a sky that bursts into fireworks like celestial jazz. The golden years of prosperity aren't exaggerated. In a busy tavern, Solomon raises a glass. "My friends, this is Delia, the lady with stars in her eyes." The table cheered. Delia bowed slightly in her regional dress. "China is truly blessed. I'm honored to witness its golden age." Laughter and baijiu flowed freely. Days later, they stand among the crowd at the Lantern Festival, watching lights drift into the night sky. "It's beautiful," Delia whispers. "You finally see beauty the way I see you." Solomon turns to her, but when she's gone, he exhales. Not in frustration, but in the practiced sadness of someone who's done this before and would again. A setting sun smolders red over Japan. The building had once been a temple or maybe a school. Now it was all shattered beams and ashes. Solomon sat alone, dirt on his face, sweat and fluids pressed into the threads of his uniform, unmoving. He looked older, tired in a way immortality rarely showed. Delia entered quietly, dressed as a nurse. He didn't turn. "All my friends are gone," he said. "Their graves were desecrated by bombs. I didn't know humans could be so brutal." He pointed at the sky and lowered his hand slowly. "And yet the sky hasn't changed." She didn't speak, but wiped angrily at the tears spilling down her cheek. Just helped him stand. They walked into the silence together. The sky is hewn with lavender as evening settles over Woodstock. The farm field smelled of damp earth, patchouli, and revolution. Music drifted like a drug through the air. Solomon leaned against a painted van, laughing with strangers. Delia wandered up barefoot in jeans, a flowing blouse, and flowers braided in her hair. "Hey, Solomon!" someone called. "It's your star-eyed girl!" Solomon caught sight of her and lit up. "Everyone, this is Delia. Brilliant, cosmic, doesn't believe in socks." The group chuckled and greeted her. They talked about Hendrix. Someone passed her juice from the jungle. She drank some and passed it to the left. As the group walked to the stage, she tugged Solomon aside. "Do me a favor?" "Anything." She shoved a piece of paper into his hands. "Don't forget me, even when I vanish." He looked at her like she was foolish. "How could I? You crashed through my life like a comet." She grinned. "Well, I do like an entrance." At night, the lab was sterile, cavernous, and humming with machines that Delia had personally broken the laws of physics to build. She typed, brows furrowed. Solomon entered, pushing a mop and bucket. "Excuse me, Miss Moreland, still want me to clean in here?" She nodded, exhaling sharply. He vanished, then returned with coffee. "Thought you could use this?" She accepted it with a soft, "Thanks." He pointed to her monitor. "That calculation looks off. Shouldn't the anti-spin value be negative root?" She stared at him, astounded. "You're a janitor." "Oh, I suppose even a janitor can pick up a few things here and there." "Are you a spy or just really smart?" "That seems contradictory," the janitor replied as he began mopping. "How so?" Delia asked, intrigued. "If I were a spy, wouldn't I have to be smart to get here? Seems like I'd be admitting I was a spy either way." The janitor explained. "That seems like an elusive answer," Delia chided. He winked. "So are half the theoretical particles you're chasing." She chuckled, shook her head, and corrected the formula. I feel like I owe you something. I can go home a little earlier now. No, it's fine. I shouldn't have looked over your shoulder when I was getting your trash can. Besides, now you think I'm a spy. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Perhaps I'm attracted to danger. Theoretical quantum physics can be very dangerous. Delia stood up and ambled closer to the janitor. Besides, I insist. The janitor stopped mopping and smiled humbly, his mind not yet made up. At least let me know what you're calling yourself now, since you're a spy. Delia prodded in a quirky, nerdy, but nonchalant manner. I'm Solomon. Solomon held up his name tag. And how about we do lunch since we both have odd hours? Agreed. Delia smiled brilliantly and Solomon continued his rounds. Time seemed to start when he was in her presence. Solomon kisses her gently, reveling in the scent and warmth of her presence. How long this time? She raised a brow. That depends on you. He slid his journal toward her. Inside, blueprints, equations, and a diagram labeled The Mercury Gold Paradox. You're calling it that? She asked, amused. Solomon nodded. I found it symbolic. Mercury, unstable, ever-shifting. Gold, enduring, non-reactive. Like your quantum-altered cells. Your accident flooded them with particles that merged instead of destroyed. You're something new. Like Anatoly Bugorsky, she offered. Except you didn't just survive. You adapted. She smirked. You're still upset I tricked you into sabotaging my experiment. I've forgiven you, he said. Mostly. Time traveling's easy, Delia said, eyes softening. Time landing is hard. Solomon tilted his head. Why? She looked out the window, as if the sky might still hold her echo. The solar system moves. I exist outside time, Solomon. There's no static reference. I had to learn to navigate based on emotion, navigational astronomy, gravitational markers, and you. And me? You're always the constant, my beacon. Somehow, no matter when, I can find you. He exhaled slowly. I'd never thought of it, but I can always sense when you're coming. Now that I've caught up to when you first existed, I might be able to stabilize you. She took his hand. Then it would be lovely to spend immortality with you. Splash and Dash is sponsored by Roughneck Soap and supported by viewers like you. Click like, subscribe, share, and comment to join us in the next story from Splash and Dash.